have not been suspended. They are particularly interesting when you start going back and looking at the labor laws, because people will recall about 2 weeks ago, our beautiful Minister of Employment and Labor made a statement that employers cannot force staff to go on leave, on paid leave, and take all their paid leave. He also said that employers cannot force people to stay at home with no salary. In other words, you have to carry on paying them their salary. He made those two statements both on national radio, SAFM. I know it was on Cape Talk. I presume it was on Johannesburg radio as well, and on SATV. I then wrote a letter to the minister saying he is in no position to suspend our labor laws. Our Basic Conditions of Employment Act stands good. The lockdown hasn't suspended any actual law at all, and in particular our labor laws. Now, if you look at the Basic Conditions of Employment Act, it's for the employer to decide when employees must take their leave. It's for the employer to decide whether he's going to pay or he or she's going to pay during the lockdown. Obviously, there is a certain amount of strong feelings about this, because obviously people, especially in small business, are your friends, family, associates, people who are loyal to you, and you do feel that you want to pay if you can afford. But if you can't afford, rather than destroy the business, then you can't pay. So that gets me to where we are at the moment. The Department of Labour, Employment and Labour, through the Commissioner of the UIF, Commissioner Marupeng, who I spoke to yesterday, assures me that the payments will come through. I think he's had approximately 30,000 small businesses applying for the TERS, T-E-R-S, application. He could not tell me whether any one person has been paid as yet. From what I understand and from my emails this morning, no one's been paid, which is a bit of a drastic situation, specifically because people are starving. So we've got real problems out there. The Department of Labour is incompetent. Their systems are bad. They've locked down all their own offices, even though the Department of Labour was declared to be an essential service. They took a decision to lock their offices. Now, I've just been off the phone now to a woman who tells me she doesn't have a computer, she doesn't have access to data, and she doesn't know what to do, and she wants to go in and collect her UIF. And I said, you're not going to be able to, they all locked down. So she's in a desperate state. I have now handed her phone number to the commissioner to see if they can make some arrangement to pay her. But you can imagine there must be millions out there in this situation. We think that over and above the 10.5 million unemployed, of which about 500,000 are claiming UIF before this lockdown issue, we think we've added another 1 million people into the queue. And so it's a real problem. Also, and Toby, who's listening, will remember that the Department of Labour itself was dysfunctional before all this. We very seldom got UIF payments properly done, and also, obviously, workmen's compensation has been dysfunctional for now over 20 years. So there is a call. I know that the Democratic Alliance has put out a call for the South African Revenue Services to handle the payments. Let me just assure everyone that there is enough money. The money is there. We have approximately, I think it's close on 100 billion rand in that fund that is able to be accessed. And of course, at the end of the day, that 100 billion rand is now the rainy day that they've been waiting for, but they're somehow not distributing it. I know only yesterday, some of the people who had already been on UIF for maternity leave and dismissal and that sort of thing, some of those people started receiving their money, but those were claims before the COVID-19. I don't believe that any of the COVID-19 payments have actually come through. We might hear from 1 or 2 people today who are listening in that it actually has come through. Just to let everyone know, obviously, I have been suggesting to people that they got to look very carefully at not just the lockdown period, but it's going to take us 6 months, maybe 12 months, if not years, to come right. Well, I was listening last night to the minister of, I can't remember the minister's name, but I was, sorry? So we were listening last night, and at the end of the day, this looks like this is going to take years. And this is not an issue where we're going to be able to magic, lockdown is over, and every business comes back to normal. Forget about it. It's not going to happen. Businesses are not going to come back to normal, not for at least 2 or 3 years. Some people are saying a decade. In South Africa, we don't have the resilience to be able to bounce back. So every small business has to very carefully look at their future and then structure their staffing accordingly. It's a terrible statement for me to make, but I have been suggesting to people that now start retrenching, and not just the lockdown period where people aren't getting paid, or you're paying a certain amount and you've agreed with people that take a percentage of their salary. I have been suggesting to people that they must now have a look very carefully at the business, look at it as if it's not going to come right for a couple of years, and where do you think that you can start paring down? Because fortunately, the retrenchment payments from the UIF will come through, and they've now extended that. Those payments go on for 9 months, as opposed to the TERS, which at the end of the day, Henro is going to talk to us about. Henro knows the forms and the manner in which it's done and all that. So I'm not going to talk about the technicalities. I've been referring all the small businesses to him. He's got a system whereby he can tell people what forms, how to do it, where to send it. All the offices are locked. It has to all be done online. The other thing that I have been suggesting to people is to try and get agreements with the staff. If the staff have agreed to take a 30% knock on their salary, and especially the management staff must take knocks, you would have to have a carrot and stick. You can't just tell people, I want you to take a 30% knock. What you can tell them is, if we don't do this, we have to go into retrenchment and you'd be in the firing line. So that's the carrot and stick, which I have been suggesting to people all along now, since day one of the lockdown. I'm not sure if they're going to extend it, but I think I'm over talking. So I saw you look at your watch. Let me hand over back to you. No, I can't hear you.
Me too.
Sorry,
Can you hear me, Michael?
Yes. Sorry, everybody. Yeah. Thank you, Michael. I've just got a flash thing on my screen saying we've got 4 minutes left. So Henry, you carry on. I'm going to try and create a new link and put it in the chat box. So if Zoom cuts us out, everyone can reconnect with the new link. So I'll do that, and over to you. Thanks, Henro.
All right, thank you. And thank you everybody for connecting on this webinar. Of course, when it comes to SMME, financing SMMEs, it's a very difficult concept altogether. You know, you will talk to institutions that finance SMMEs, and you will hear that most of the times they must finance something that's in the head of somebody else, and there's no security. So, so as a concept, it's very difficult to finance SMMEs. The second problem on SMMEs is a regulatory environment we in South Africa. It's a very difficult space to be in. Even the World Bank Ease of Doing Business rate us very low on the Ease of Doing Business index. So red tape is a real problem for small businesses. And please, small businesses must know claiming and fill in forms for COVID-19 is not going to be different. There's a lot of red tape. Part of this whole process got a lot of red tape, and please be patient and just do your thing. The other bags already mentioned it. The lines are very long. People, small businesses who need some relief, standing in a very long queue, and the coffers are empty. So we must be patient, and I'm sure there will be a way out. So I'm going to start with my presentation. Something is happening. Right. There's a lot of interventions done by the state. I'm not going to look at them all. I'm just going to just talk of a few of them. The first two relief funds from the Small Business Development Department is administered by CFA. Those two funds, the one is the SMME Debt Relief Finance Fund. The other one is the Business Growth and Resilience Facility. Now, both of them are loans, and the loan is at the prime rate, as at the prime rate minus 5%. So it's across all sectors, businesses across all sectors, and it's business which are negatively affected directly or indirectly by COVID-19. So the SMME Debt Relief Fund is there to help you funding your working capital. And the maximum there is 6 months of working capital with a maximum of 500,000 Rand. Now, working capital include rent, payroll relief, and business-related expenses. So, as I already mentioned, it's a loan through CFA. CFA stands for Small Enterprise Finance Agency, and it is a loan at prime minus 5%. The Business Growth Fund is targeted at SMMEs that experience increase in demand due to the